Okay, so I'm gonna call this video "The House of Cards" of Tyson Fury. So, U.S. boxing has been on decline for years and years and years. I think it's because of the uprising or the acceptance of black athletes and other sports, them getting paid what they should be getting paid. So, if you're going to have a choice between basketball or American football or baseball, you're going to choose them over boxing because you get paid a lot more as an average fighter. Whereas as an average fighter in heavyweight boxing, you get your head beaten in, and you're not going to be paid as much. So you're basically left with a much smaller pool of American or American adopted heavyweights, and the networks and promoters are desperate for them to be a success. So what they do is they build their resume and they promote them so the public believe that they are the next best thing, and they're brilliant. So this starts off with a fighter called Eric Molina. So Eric Molina has really fought nobody. I think he got like a DQ win over Gerald Washington, I think it was back in the day. But again, he was like 30-0 or something, multiple knockouts, and then he fought a guy called Chris Ariola. Again, Ariola had never beaten anyone, but because he beat um, Eric Molina, then he basically inherited in through the promoters. He inherited all of those wins that Eric Molina did, and then anyway, who beat Chris Ariola? I think it was Burnham Stavern, who again has fought nobody, um, beaten nobody, but he then inherited all those other wins of those other two nobodies. So you've got this Burnham Stavern, uh, and he was chosen to do a final eliminator for when when Fury some of those belts. Well, actually, no, it was before that. WBC belt was up for grabs, and Wilder and Burnham Stavern were chosen to be the to fight this world title fight for the Bacon belt. And yeah, so then Wilder won on 12. He won by a unified decision of going over 12 rounds of this amazing Burnham Stavern. At this point, Wilder's like 36-0 or something like that, and 35 of those were KOs. So yeah, you've got this house of cards leading up to Wilder, where everyone's built on other people's resumes, which when you stack them up are all really garbage. And during this time, by the way, you also have the uprising of European, especially Eastern European block fighters. You know, you've got the Ukrainians, you've got some of the Russians, the Klitschko's came up, and you just get these professional large athletes in Europe. You also have in the uprising of heavyweights in the UK, which is predominantly African origin, I'd say, or not. Or sometimes you have it's either African or it's Dillian White. I think he's from Jamaica. So you've got this heritage. You've got these big professional athletes coming out of Europe with different training, and then you've got the demise of the US heavyweight scene. So anyway, you've got this big marketable Wilder knocking out anyone who touches, um, built on this house of cards. So then Wilder fights a guy called Luis Ortiz, and this is basically the justification of why Wilder's great. First of all, the two Luis Ortiz fights, Wilder got absolutely schooled by Ortiz. Ortiz is a Cuban boxer. His age is a bit unknown. Either way, he's a gifted fighter. He's a southpaw. He can really crack. But if you look at his resume, it's just full of absolute nobodies and people you never heard of. The only one you could actually speak about, believe it or not, is I think he's 21-year-old Dave Allen. So like Dave Allen fought him when I think he fought him with like 3 days notice. He just jumped in for 5 grand, or and he got beat by Luis Ortiz. So Luis Ortiz was schooling similar to Joseph Parker, um, Deontay Wilder, but then Deontay Wilder twice basically knocked him out. Most of the reason why was because Ortiz was so old. So anyway, now you've got Fury, who's the end of this house of cards. Well, actually, he's the second last person in the house of cards. Fury, throughout his, coming up through his career, he was the guy that used to punch him, that famous punch himself in the head through an uppercut, that sort of thing. Didn't fight anyone really of note. He he won a fairly close fight in the first fight versus Derek Chisora. He then boxed him again and beat him easily. I don't know if it was a knockout. I think it might have been a knockout actually, of Derek Chisora in the second fight. But other than that, he went into the Klitschko fight, heavy underdog, and he did amazing. That was his real breakout fight. I remember saying later, it was a really, really boring fight. Only the Brits could have enjoyed it. It was that boring, but I enjoyed it because it was good to see. At that point, the our first heavyweight world champion since Lennox Lewis, so I was really happy for him. But that's when, not long after that's when I started to go off Tyson Fury. I just thought he was a bit of a dick, to be honest. So yeah, obviously he got found guilty or whatever of caught using PEDs along with his brother Yuri. Um, he he tried to get off it because he claimed it was from eating an uncastrated wild boar. But the farmer who testified to say that he sold him it, then not long after, or maybe 6 months after, he then went back and testified again that it was all he made it all up, and he was now telling the truth because he wasn't getting paid the money that he was promised. Um, the British Fury tried to sue the British Boxing Board of Control back then, but in the end he accepted a 2 month backdated ban, which coincided with his mental health issues that he had. And I actually do believe he had real massive mental health issues. I think he does now actually, but yeah, it's a lot of the mental health these days is a good mirage for what lies underneath it, and that is the fact that he was banned for taking drugs, or for consuming drugs. Um, so anyway, so he fights Wilder, this guy with this huge padded record, and in his first fight he loses all this weight. Brilliant, well done. Um, and he tried to fight the Klitschko fight, and you know what? He did a pretty darn good job of it. He won that fight, but they gave it a draw. He then went and fought. I think it was Otto Wallen. Otto Wallen beat him up for a couple of rounds, opened up a huge cut. Fury then came back and yeah, he won on points. It was a victory for him, but he was lucky because the cut was so bad that most other commissions or refs or doctors would have stopped the fight just because the cut was so bad. Anyway, he did win the fight. Then he obviously changed trainers. He brought in Emmanuel Stewart's grandson or something. Um, but yeah, and they decided to train him in the Kronk style, which is a lot more offensive based. And it worked, I guess, for Wilder because Wilder's very good at fighting from long range, and he'll make up the distance and throw his right hand, and that's you done. But the strategy for for Fury was to use his reach advantage and basically with his what do they call it, moving jab, which he's really good at. He was moving jab on the way in, and then he would just like lie on Wilder and just like exhaust him because, like I said, Wilder's really like naturally 15 stone, so he's a 21 stone man lies on you. You got to live. You're going to get exhausted, and that was a lot of the reason why Wilder got knocked out in second and third fight. It was just because he was so knackered from just getting nothing to do with punches. Just was exhausted. So yeah, so basically Fury just lied on him for two fights and knocked him out from basically sitting on him. Um, so great, yeah. And then he said he's the baddest man on the planet. Blah 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 blah. Um, he decided to fight. Well, he fought Dillian White after a bit of a standoff. Dillian White had already been knocked out twice through uppercuts already, and Fury did a good job. He knocked him out with an uppercut the same way, but it wasn't a true reflection of really where. I don't think we really actually really knew where Fury was at that point. I thought I did at the time, but hindsight, no, I didn't at all. Then he fought obviously Derek Chisora. Um, I didn't even watch the fight. I've not seen any of it, but I don't need to see it. It's a completely pointless fighting him for the third time. Um, and then obviously he goes into fight Francis Ngannou, who's the final card in the House of Cards, and Ngannou knocks him down and just loses that fight on a split decision points win for Fury, and it's really close. I think he won by a round. Obviously, he got knocked down again. I don't know how many times he's been knocked down now. It's a lot of times. So yeah, Nagano gets absolutely cleaned out by Joshua. Otto Wallen gets absolutely cleaned out. Well, he gets stopped on his stool. He quit. Broken nose, I think. But anyway, just got taken apart by Joshua. So yeah, obviously he knocked out Klitschko. So that's three kind of knockouts against the same people that Fury did, and he's knocked them all out. The other common opponent was Dillian White, and they both knocked them out. But who else? Let's think about who Fury hasn't fought. He hasn't fought Parker. I know he's his friend and all that stuff, but he should have fought him at some point. Parker's a former world champion. He's not fought Zhang. He's not fought Hergovich. He's not fought Bakoli. He's obviously not fought Joshua. He's not fought Big Baby Anderson, and the US boxer was showing some promise. That's just the ones I can think of. There's Frank Sanchez. He's not fought him. Like he should be fighting at least one of those names, and he's found a reason to not fight him. He's obviously not fought Usyk. He's been trying to run from him for a long time. Looks like he might have actually been nailed down now. But yeah, this house of cards is falling down right now, and it's going to come down on May the 18th when Usyk stops Fury. It'll be completely over. Usyk is special. He's obviously old. Would beat Fury. If it was 2 years ago, it would be in my mind a certainty. However, I think it's close to a certainty now. I just think Usyk is out of his prime. Obviously, Fury's out of his prime, and I just think when they're measuring each up about who's got what components left of their game, I think that Usyk will have enough to stay classy and to look good and to do what he does, and I think he'll stop him. I think he'll stop him on work rate, and then I don't know if Fury will fight again in this rematch. I hope not. Having said that, I don't know if I really want to see Joshua versus Usyk 3, of which I actually think Joshua will win. Under Ben Davison, I think he would win. So if it did happen, it would be some redemption. But I think partly it's because I do think Usyk is aging now, whereas Joshua is a bit younger. And yeah, I think under Ben Davison he's a different animal. I think he would be difficult night's work for Usyk. which is really weird to say after Usyk took him apart for 24 rounds. But yeah, I just think he's a bit of a different fighter. Okay, so that's the house of cards of Tyson Fury, built on Eric Molina, Chris Arreola, Bernard Stavern, Dave Allen, Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder. All of them garbage. And that's what these casuals are building up there. Reasons why Fury is as good as he was when he was amazing when he beat Klitschko. He's not. And he ain't a big puncher. He's not going to put a dent in Joshua. And he obviously didn't put a dent in Ngannou. He won't put a dent in Usyk either. The only thing that can beat Usyk is a body punch. And Fury isn't never been a good body puncher. So yeah, Usyk will win. Obviously.